Hey, what's going on everybody? E back with another action figure review, and today we are looking at the Bandai Tamashii Nations SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z web exclusive Cooler Final Form. So I have been very excited for this release. He is a big boy and he's looking really nice. So let's get right into it. This is how he looks inside the package. Obviously, here's a front window view with the image on the right side there. Logo down below that says it's a web exclusive. Then we got the sticker of authenticity there. One side shows the name, the other side just shows images, and then the back side of course shows more images of the figure itself. And that's it. So let's go ahead and crack him open. You can order him at BigBadToyStory.com. He is a little bit higher in price, and he's currently sold out. But once he releases in the US, they kind of get more stock, so sometimes it'll jump back in stock. So just keep an eye on that link. I'll put it down below just in case. Alright guys, and here we have Cooler out of the box, and man, the presence this guy has. This figure is very nicely done. It looks great. It feels great. As soon as you get him out of the package, definitely a very nice figure. And a figure that kind of came out of nowhere if you think about it, man. They've been releasing a lot of Frieza Saga stuff. Here and there, they'll throw in a Sand Saga, you know, like Raditz came out, and then we got the Great Ape Vegeta, and then randomly out of the left field we got Cooler from a movie that isn't even considered canon, I don't believe. Cooler himself is canon. I think Frieza does have a brother in the canon story, but I think the Cooler movie lies with the Broly movie where they're not really canon. I don't know, somebody correct me on that, but as far as I know, those are not official canon. But Tamashii did unveil their little Dragon Ball Fighters video game roster, and they had a fan vote on that, and I think Kefla won that. But a lot of the other characters were there, and that's when they announced this figure because he's part of that roster of that video game. So they kind of used the video game to release this figure out of the, out of the blue. Now, I believe that they can release any character out of the blue. They don't really need to coincide with a video game or a movie or anything to release something. So hopefully they don't stick to that plan with everything else, because I do want other figures. But then again, we're getting Dragon Ball GT SS4 Goku. That one's kind of like out of nowhere because he's not in Fighters, but Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is. So, what I'm trying to say is they can release any character at this point, and it will be alright. They don't need to, release it with a big event going on or anything like that. So Cooler right now is, as he comes out of the package, you can see he doesn't have a tail, but the tail comes separately. So this is the first accessory we're going to take a look at, is his tail. You can see the nice sculpt and paintwork on the tail. We got a hinge there that rotates and hinges there, and also at the peg where that plugs into his behind, that also hinges and rotates as well. So you can articulate the tail just fine. We'll attach that in a bit. We get alternate feet, so you can swap out the feet. Right now he's flat-footed, so he can stand up, and these feet here is of course to maybe put him in a kicking pose or recreate the pose where he is launching himself on top of Goku while Goku's on the floor and he's grabbing him with his foot. And then we get an alternate head. So this is the head that unveils his actual face with his nose and mouth. And then we get alternate hands. So right now we get a pair of fists on the figure itself right out of the package. Alternatively, we have an open set of hands. Pretty standard to come with. Two hands that are pointing with the index finger. And then lastly we get another open hands, but the fingers are a little bit more curled and posed. Alright, so here we have a little closer shot at Cooler, and one of the big things that stands out to me is that they shaded the figure. All over the figure you see some shading, and it's a lot nicer when you shade a figure, and this is a good example of it. For a while, Tamashii was making a lot of DBZ figures, phenomenal figures, but they weren't shading them at all. So it's nice to see them slowly getting back into the groove of shading their figures, because this definitely wouldn't look this nice if it wasn't shaded. A little shading goes a long way, and this is a good example of that. You can also see the texture on the torso and his shoulder pieces, and also his crown or his head, and the texture on his forearm. So very nice detail there. I love the paint they use for the blue on his shins, his forearms, and his forehead, of course. And then there's the feet right there. Here's the back side. So very nicely done overall. I think this figure might be up there for like figure of the year, to be honest. At least for Dragon Ball Z Figuarts, this might be the best release of the year by far, and it's gonna be up there for a while overall for the entire line, at least in my book. So it's that good. It's definitely that nice, and I don't recommend that you skip on this release. Just saying that right now. Go out and get him while you can. And then there's a good look at him with his alternate head or face plate attached. This is the alternate face when he's not guarding his face, of course. So I do like this look better, but you do have the option of displaying him like this if you wish. Alright, so moving right along to the articulation of the figure. The head sits on a ball joint peg. So he'll look up about this high, which is not too bad, and then the neck is a separate articulated piece, of course, so that's going to help with his head movement. He looks down about that far, and then the head will go left and right, no problem. There you go, the horns don't hinder anything. Then we get the shoulder pieces for his, of course, shoulder. Those are on hinges themselves, so they move around, but then we also do get some deep butterfly joints here. So that's also very nice. That goes for both, and they don't really grind on the chest or the back, so that's good too, because that would be pretty annoying if that was the case. But there you can see the hinge, which actually is very nicely hidden when you have him pretty vanilla. You see how it hides behind the pec. Once you spread it out, then you'll see it, but it's not that big of a sore thumb either. So it's nice. A pretty deep butterfly joint, you know, even though we get this big shoulder piece. Arms are going to go all the way up like that, and they go all the way down. Bicep swivel. Arms are going to go forward and back all the way around, of course. Double jointed elbows. Bend like this. Then we have a swivel at the wrist with a ball jointed hinge. Actually, yeah, it is a ball joint. I thought it was a peg, but it is a ball joint. So there's that. At the torso, we get the diaphragm joint at the upper torso. And he crunches forward and back, swivels left and right, tilts pretty nice. Then we got that ball joint at the waist. So lots of range of motion for the torso overall. Then we got the groin here. He'll kick forward like this and go back in and out about this far. Then we have a thigh swivel, double jointed knees. You can see I did attach the tail. And then we have the hinge at the ankle, swivel, and a rocker at the ankle as well. And that's it. I did already go over the tail articulation, so there's that. If you want to see it as it's attached, you see the rotation, you can see the hinge there, and then also down below here. So there you have it. You can pose it up as you wish. So pretty dope. Alright, so getting him compared next to some other figures, we'll start off with the recently released event exclusive Nappa. This is the alternate color for the San Diego Comic-Con release of event exclusives. And he stacks up this tall, and more wider than he is tall. But he definitely isn't a small figure, so you could just see how big Cooler is. Here he is next to probably my second most favorite release of the year, Raditz. And he looks pretty good here. You can see he's a pretty big figure too, but no match for Cooler. Up next, here we have him next to Captain Ginyu, which if you own this figure, you know he's a big figure. He's a little taller than Raditz. You can see here he's getting closer to the height of Cooler. If it wasn't for Cooler's horns, I think he'd be pretty, damn near close to his height there. But definitely Cooler's a lot more beefier and more buff in terms of muscles. So there's a look at Ginyu. And going even bigger here, we have Recoome. Now Recoome is a little bit more on Cooler's scale here, or weight class. He's actually a little bit more meatier, a little bit more muscles, and the height is definitely there. So he's definitely picking on someone his own size on this one. Now here's a very drastic difference. Here we have Cooler next to his brother Frieza. And Frieza's first form, of course, so he's his smallest. I think he's smaller in this form than he is in his final form. Maybe the same. But definitely, you can see the height difference here. We just recently got first form Frieza, so that's another great release. And hopefully we get more. I would love to compare this Cooler next to a second form Frieza, which is a little bit more on Cooler's height and weight class, and from there maybe we can get a King Cold. That would be great. Get the whole family rounded up there. King Cold would be the only one we're missing now at this point, but I would like to get the other forms of Frieza as well. And one more comparison I'll throw in, of course, we gotta throw in Goku. This is the Awakening Goku, Super Saiyan 1 from the Frieza saga. Oh, looking pretty good next to Cooler. Alright guys, and that's going to wrap things up for this review of the Bandai Tamashii Nations SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Cooler Final Form. I like to say Final Form Cooler, but they wrote it as Cooler Final Form, so I guess we'll say that. But hopefully we do get a first form Cooler eventually, and maybe even a Metal Cooler or Mecha Cooler, however you want to say it. That would be pretty dope, and it would be kind of like an army builder type release. I don't know. We'll see how that were to go down if they ever do get around to doing that. But as of right now, let's talk about now instead of the future. I'm already thinking ahead. Let's just enjoy the fact and appreciate the fact that we got a final form Cooler in SH Figuarts form. I mean, this is phenomenal. This is a phenomenal release. It's a great figure. Words can't do it justice. This video probably doesn't do it justice. Pictures don't do it justice. You really gotta get this figure in hand. It's up there as one of the top Dragon Ball Z releases for sure. This year has been amazing. Last year was amazing. Everything about this line has been amazing recently. I'm just so happy in the direction that they're going, and every release being as good as they are. And of course, I am a gigantic Dragon Ball Z fan, so there's also that. So it's double for me there. So alright guys, that's gonna do it. Go out and get yourself this Cooler. Don't skip out, don't sleep on it. Leave a like, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and as always, take care and have a good one. Bye.